Welcome to the full moon in Libra, April 6, 2023 report. This is Diamonds in the Sky Astrology, our place for all things astrology and tarot. And if you are after a consultation with me, I can be contacted at diamondsinthesky@yahoo.com. Enjoy the video. So this is what we'll be discussing in the report this time. We have the moon in Libra opposing the sun in Aries, Mars in Cancer trining Saturn in Pisces, Mercury in Taurus conjunct the North Node in Taurus, Mercury in Taurus sextile Mars in Cancer, Pluto in Aquarius trine Venus in Taurus, Saturn in Pisces sextile Mercury and the North Node in Taurus, Pluto in Aquarius squaring the North Node and Mercury in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces sextiling Pluto in Aquarius, and the Sun and Jupiter are conjunct in Aries, opposing the Moon in Libra. So as you can see, there's a lot here to unpack. It's always nice to know there's a beautiful lunation for us to enjoy and anchor into, but there's a lot of moving parts with the aspects in the sky at the time of this full moon lunation. Let's go. So April 2023 sees on April 6th our first lunation of the month, and it's the full moon in Libra. We're going to be taking a look at the aspects that are occurring at the time of the lunation. What is an aspect? It simply means how the planets are communicating with one another. Are they in squares, oppositions, trines, sextiles, etc.? So let's talk about what a full moon is first. It is the peak pinnacle moment in the sky where the lunation is bright. It opens up a path even in the darkness. So a full moon in Libra points to fairness, equality, partnership, diplomacy, and even finances because it's a Venus ruled sign. This lunation occurs at 16 degrees of Libra, talking about emotional balance and even distribution of energy with the self and others. Relationships continued, entered into, or completed at this time signifies at 16 degrees that we're available proactively with other people, or we ease into detaching without feeling like we're overcompensating emotionally or we're holding on to baggage in regards to significant contracts, partnerships, relationships, or collaborations. The Sun and Jupiter are conjunct in Aries at 16 degrees, opposing this lunation. This simply means it has us primarily engaging consciously and exercising self-advocacy of our own path and psychic emotional happiness. We're optimistic or connecting and continuing on with a partnership, or we are going solo and empowering the self without ego or vanity, because the full moon in Libra is about balance. Venus in Taurus at this time has knowledge on self-love, self-worth, and the confidence to connect or disconnect from a bind if not in flow of abundance or love. And this is a necessity for us to take stock of at the time of this lunation. So we have Mars in Cancer in a trine aspect with Saturn in Pisces. So Mars in Cancer is experiencing a rebalance in understanding what feels secure and safe and what they're moving towards. Are they supported with family and the home? And in this trine to Saturn in Pisces, we're deciphering our psychic life. We're slowly turning water into wine that is real, consumable, and long-lasting in respect to our emotional instability or stability, and removing distracting vices once and for all. So a trine aspect is Jupiterian in nature. It's not going to have such a harsh blow of stoppages, blocks, and feelings of ego. We're also creatively aware of the potential to stabilize and flourish. We're actuating dreams and making them real and solid with this trine. And this is going to continue for a little bit. So We're aware of something that is a little bit easier to navigate moving forward than it has been for some time. The trine also indicates ease and a feeling of being less blocked or forceful. We're moving forward and having strategies or experiences that are in flow with what we're inspired by, because Jupiter's also exalted in the sign of Cancer and Jupiter's conjunct in the sign of Aries, which is helpful. This fortifies optimism and philosophic dreams for the future, for the self, or integrating with others. The trine also lessens the probability of Jupiter being less forward moving in Aries and instinctively aware of the self autonomy, and we act confidently on advancing toward a goal or abundance. Mercury in Taurus conjunct the North Node in Taurus at the time of this lunation is a balancing of mental logistics about our everyday experience with the self and with other people, considering this is the full moon in Libra. So we're setting solid financial foundations or looking at the options, and we're slow to action to set an idea into place to consolidate for the future. So we have almost a moment of take it easy, slow down when we have Mercury in Taurus conjunct the North Node. Radical differences of opinions in relationships, collaborations, and fairness are considered, yet hard to change and make reality. Uranus in Taurus struggles to change a fixed perception or a solid form in personal experiences or what is already tied up with others. A slowdown is required here before we make a decision that is solid. So Pluto is in Aquarius at the time of the Libra full moon, trining Venus in Taurus. For me, this is about resurrecting self-love, value for our own personal experience, or we're igniting with others, community and collaborations that may have financial agreements or partnerships tied up in the future. Favorable for connecting long-term regarding transformation of larger groups or associations. We're facilitating change that can have societal benefits with the self and others regarding intellectual connections in relationships and finances attached to self-worth and value. This is very new age. And remember, this is a Saturn-ruled sign. Saturn in Pisces is sextiling Mercury in Taurus in the North Node when we have the full moon. So we're considering different views of spiritual and psychic stagnation or flow. So we've got thoughts and conversations going on here, how this affects collaborations, partnerships, and even contracts. So we're communicating about change in long-term transformation of the mind, body, and spirit regarding this aspect. Universal love of now and the dimensional aspect of knowledge of methodical, deliberate change and liberation for the self and humanity as a whole when this occurs, this sextile. Pluto in Aquarius is squaring the North Node and Mercury in Taurus. So this could have us being in a moment of feeling like it's difficult to transform our thoughts or logistics of our experience. Financial detachment may be necessary or can have us feeling isolated. Mental distraction on how to navigate in society or individually regarding financial contracts and connections. And it may be the opportunity to communicate our truth or about how we are tied up and bound with others. Neptune is in the sign of Pisces, and Neptune rules this sign, and it's in a sextile with Pluto in Aquarius. So the two outer planets are talking to one another about distant, unseen potential for transformative change with groups or humanity as a whole. Spiritual faith may prove beneficial in holding hope for the future regarding our existence and confidence in ourselves and our experience here, so we can advance change for a brighter future and do things differently than we've done before. So consider this access, the self and other at this time with the full moon in Libra. So the Sun in Aries, as mentioned before, is conjunct with Jupiter in Aries, and it's opposing Libra full moon. So autonomous aspirations may collide with considering others and binding obligations. We're trying to keep our own identity, and it may be necessary as not to be unbalanced or get lost in connections or contracts that remove our personal goals or aspirations due to opposing forces of emotional imbalance or, again, obligations. Me versus we is the two words associated with this lunation. It's a fine balancing act that can work if we can remove ego and be honest and keep up with the honesty when working with ourselves and with other people. So there's a lot to consider with all the aspects going on at the time of the lunation. Nothing we can't navigate. It's not our first rodeo, and it certainly won't be our last with the full moon in Libra. But a big obvious point is that there's going to be a eclipse on the 20th of April 2023, and it's in the sign of Aries. And as you can see, there's a lot of aspects going on with Aries sign at the moment with the Sun and Jupiter conjunctive. I've made an April 2023 monthly report, so go ahead and have a listen to that and get some more information on what's going on and what's coming forward into the eclipse and even in the month. I'm also going to be doing a separate report on the eclipse, so look out for that. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss this vital information about the eclipse. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. I hope you get something of personal value in this report. Remember, astrology is to give us wisdom and light the way on how we can integrate our own personal wisdom and with other people with lots of love and compassion. So Libra is associated with a lot of compassion and diplomacy, and Aries, the opposite sign of Libra, is about the self and movement forward. So we are balancing and recalibrating here, and being at 16 degrees, it might be a little easier, yet all the other aspects are significant on how this full moon may play out in our individual lives. Thank you so much again for tuning in. I hope you have a fabulous full moon, and I will see you in the eclipse report.